Welcome back. Today we're talking about proficiency assessment, which is one of the 6 forms of assessment that we were introduced to in an earlier video. So in English language testing, there are a number of very well-known proficiency tests used around the world. 2 of them are TOEFL and IELTS. But today we're talking about a third type, TOEIC. So TOEIC has been used here in Vietnam, and we're very fortunate today to have with us one of our former PhD students from Victoria University of Wellington, who's currently teaching at the Ho Chi Minh University of Pedagogy, which incidentally is one of the universities where we offer our MA in TESOL. So Dr. Ha is going to tell us everything there is to know about TOEIC and its use as a proficiency assessment measure in Vietnam. So welcome and thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So today we're going to be talking about proficiency assessment. So what does proficiency assessment mean to you?
I think proficiency assessment means assessing students' overall language ability regardless of any programs, language programs, any curriculums or any language courses.
Okay, great. And I know in the PhD that you completed at Victoria University of Wellington in New Zealand, a very good PhD, you looked at proficiency assessment. So which test did you look at?
It was TOEIC, the test of English for international communication.
Okay, TOEIC. So that's interesting. So why did you choose TOEIC?
There are some reasons for choosing it. The TOEIC test has been used as a language exit test in many universities and colleges in Vietnam for a while. However, there are some controversies over the use of the test for that purpose. Some teachers and experts are worried that the TOEIC test was designed based on an outdated theory of language abilities, and it is a discrete point test, and it's assessed only to receptive language skills, reading and listening, while the purpose of teaching English at university is to enable students to achieve communicative competence. So it might not be suitable for our context.
Right. So clearly there's a slight mismatch between the overall goals of the curriculum set by the government and the nature of the test. So why do you think that they chose a test that did not include speaking and writing?
From my interview with the policymakers, I know that they chose the test for some reasons. The first reason is that the test is more suitable for the students' language abilities than other international English tests like IELTS or TOEFL. The second reason is that the test is more reasonable. The test-taking fees for IELTS and TOEFLs are very high for Vietnamese students.
And not just for Vietnamese students. Okay, so it sounds to me as though...
Sorry, and there's another reason.
Yeah.
Because they say that the TOEIC test assess language for the workplace, and IELTS and TOEFL assess language for academic studies.
Okay. So a mixture of reasons, and part of me wants to say that perhaps practicality received more emphasis than reliability and validity in the choice of the test. Would that be a fair comment?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
I think so.
I think so, yeah. So what did you find in your research? What were the good things and the bad things about TOEIC?
TOEIC certainly has had some positive impact on students' learning. They motivated them to learn. Students generally spend more time on learning English.
That's great. We always want to have motivated students.
Yes. Yeah, one of the most important intended impact of the TOEIC test is to motivate students' learning.
That's great.
And I think the test has achieved that purpose.
Great. Was there any downside? Were there any negative impacts or unforeseen consequences?
The findings are complicated. The test impact differs depending on the nature of the test. In universities where communicative English courses are taught, the test impact is not very clear. However, in universities that offers only TOEIC preparation courses, the test impact on teaching is very strong. Teachers almost completely ignore the non-tested skills. I mean, the speaking and the writing skills. And the teaching is also shifted away communicative teaching. Everything is done in all the teaching and learning is done in Vietnamese. The teachers, all the instruction is done in Vietnamese. Teachers explain every words and expressions in Vietnamese, and they translate the reading text into Vietnamese. They translate the sentences the students hear in the recording into Vietnamese.
Wow.
So almost no communication at all in class.
So it sounds like the grammar translation approach.
Yes, that's right. But as I said, in the at universities where communicative English courses are offered, there's not much impact of the test on teachers' teaching. One of the reasons might be that Vietnamese teachers usually stick to the textbooks. Yeah, their teaching methods is determined by the textbooks.
Okay, great. So clearly quite a variety of practice across Vietnam in relation to TOEIC.
That's right.
I guess what you've described in some of those universities where they are focusing just on the receptive skills is a good example of what we call the washback effect. Would that be right?
Yes, that's right.
So the washback effect is when... Can you define it for me?
Washback effect is the influence of the test on teaching and learning. Yeah, teachers and students do something under the influence of the test, something that they would not do otherwise.
So the washback effect is something we try to avoid having too much of in the classroom.
Actually, washback can be positive and negative.
Truly?
Yes. If it is done properly, then we might have positive impact of the test on teaching and learning.
Okay, well, I've learned something from that. Thank you very much. So clearly a test like this has lots of different impacts. And what about some of the negative impacts on learning?
Yes, there are certainly some negative impacts of the test on students' learning. As the students, the text makes students' learning more superficial. Students only learn the test-taking skills. Some of students only learn the test-taking skills in order to pass the test. They don't focus on improve their language ability, their true language abilities. And most of the students completely ignore the two non-tested skills, that is speaking and writing. Teachers and students often mention the mismatch between high TOEIC test scores and students' real language ability to communicate in English. Okay.
So this is like a question of the goal of the curriculum not being properly met because of the effect of the assessment.
Exactly.
Okay, not what we always want. So just to wrap up so what's the future for proficiency assessment like TOEIC in Vietnam? Where is Vietnam going in this area?
At the moment, the TOEIC test is still very popular, but from my interview with one of the MOET officials, I know that the Ministry of Education and Training is trying to establish a testing centers which design and administers tests to all proficiency levels learners in Vietnam. Okay. And I support that decision.
That sounds a very positive development. And are you involved in that centre?
Unfortunately, not yet.
Not yet. Let's hope you get the chance in the future.
Yes.
So thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for giving us this overview of proficiency assessment, how it is used and working in Vietnam, and also for teaching me a little bit about the benefits of washback. I hadn't realised there were benefits to washback. So thank you again.
You're welcome.